And we're live, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to this beautiful, partly sunny day in Wasaga Beach and our council this morning. Before we'll call this meeting to order, and item number 1.1, if you're able, please stand for O Canada. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'll now look to Councillor DeLeo, item number 1.2 for our land acknowledgement. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. The town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge that waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Miigwech.
Thank you, Councillor Miigwech. Item number 1.3 on the agenda is the Simcoe County approval of our official plan, and I think it's important to point out that the county did approve our new official plan for the town of Wasaga Beach, and I'd like to put a big thank you and congratulations out to our senior planner, Mart Ellis, Trevor Houghton, the director, and Mark Bryan, manager of planning, and your entire team, Mark, for all of the hard work and dedication, including all of the extended staff that worked on this. This is I recall, Andrew will recall as well, back in 2017 we started this process, and this council picked that up and carried on, and staff, of course, worked your tails off. That's a big document, 491 pages thereabouts. It's a big document. A lot of hard work went into this, but I think it's a really fitting and good official plan for our community. So I'll turn it over to Mark if you've got some comments. Mark?
I'd just like to thank you, Your Worship, for those comments. My understanding is that there is still a little bit of process left at the county level, and that is that the decision from the other day needs to be ratified at County Council next month, at which time the notice would go out and it would enter into its appeal period. So probably by the end of July, beginning of August, we'll have a good idea of what exactly is in force and effect.
And then we'll get into the planning part of it, and the zoning part of it, sorry. All right, well, that's great. So thank you, team, for all your hard work. Item number 2 on the agenda is proclamations. And we do have a proclamation with respect to the National Dental Care Day. And recommended motion is that Council proclaim October 10th as National Dental Care Day in the town of Wasaga Beach. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Timms. All in favor? Carries unanimously. And the second proclamation is that Council proclaim June 21st to June 27th, 2026 as St. John's Ambulance Week in the town of Wasaga Beach. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Snell, seconded by Councillor Ego. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 3 is disclosure of pecuniary interests. I have none before me at this time. If at some point throughout the meeting you feel you have a pecuniary interest, please let me know at that time. Item number 4 is the adoption of the agenda, and before we adopt the agenda, I'll turn this over to Nicole Rubely, our clerk, with respect to delegation requests. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. Last evening, I did receive 2 delegation requests, one from Mr. Leslie Farkas and one from Mr. Nick Badanoski. They would like to address Council with regards to Report 10.6, the Beachfront Agreement of Purchase and Sale with Sunray. As Council is aware, the procedural bylaw, any rules may be waived with a 2/3 vote. And I just want to indicate a couple things. The Sunray Agreement of Purchase and Sale was listed as an item of business on the Council agenda that was released Monday. The addendum was released late yesterday afternoon, and that contained the staff reports and the associated agreements. That was all in accordance with Section 6.01C of the procedural bylaw. Both Council and the public were advised that the report would follow, as staff and legal counsel have been working diligently to bring these both forward for you. As Council will note, the agreement includes a closing date in early July. In order to provide sufficient time for legal counsel to finalize the transaction and ensure a timely closing, it was considered prudent to present this report at today's meeting for consideration. This agreement represents a significant opportunity for the town. If approved, it will enable hotel construction to commence in the coming months, and in tandem with the Destination Wasaga plan, will serve as a catalyst for future growth, economic development, and job creation. In addition, staff also added the report regarding development charge reduction program. Senior administration has been eagerly awaiting information from the province. The program was announced on June 1st. That was post our last council meeting, as everyone is aware, with an application deadline of June 19th. Due to the strict timeline, staff also felt it prudent to bring details about that program to council and the public, and that report is before you for information. So if council would consider a motion to allow for the delegations, I have something prepared, Your Worship.
So just for clarity for council, these 2 delegations came in late, but they've asked to delegate late because all the documents were not provided on Monday to the public to see, correct?
That is correct, Your Worship.
Okay, good. Any questions or comments from members of council before we vote? All right. Resolution, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. That council approved the delegation request from Mr. Leslie Farkas and Mr. Nick Badanoski to address council regarding Report 10.6, Beachfront Agreement of Purchase and Sale with Sunray. If we can get a mover and a seconder, Your Worship.
Very much. Could I have a mover? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all in favor? That carries unanimously.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll hear those delegations under item 8.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We do have then, under adoption of the agenda, the recommended motion that the contents of the agenda of June 11th, 2026 be approved as amended. Any questions or comments on those? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor DeLeo and Councillor Ego. All in favor? That carries. All right, item number 5 is approval of the minutes, and the recommended motion is that the minutes of the council meeting held May 28th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belanger, seconded by Councillor Timms. All in favor? That carries. Item number 6 is public meeting. We have no public meeting today. Item number 7 is presentations, and we do have a check presentation today to the Georgian Triangle Humane Society for all our dogs and kitties and whatever other animals and reptiles that they look after. And we do have Aaron and Karen here today from the Georgian Triangle Humane Society. Ladies, would you like to come forward and say a word? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thanks. Have a seat if you like, and then just push the silver button in the middle of your microphone, and the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you for having us this morning and for such a special moment for us as Humane Society in partnership with the municipality of Wasaga Beach. You were one of the first municipalities to step up when we asked for your support, and we are forever grateful for that. We wish that all 6 of our municipalities would take your lead, but we're working on them. And we are honored to be partners with you and look forward to many, many years working together. As you know, we're building the new center. It's set to open next spring, and we look forward to you being there with us to cut the ribbon. We hope you can come on Saturday to our Walk for Pets and pray for no rain. And just immense gratitude for everything that you've shown us, all your support along the way. We are forever grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. Any questions or comments from members of council? Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I'm going to be attending your event on behalf of Mayor Smith next week, and I noticed that you must have received such a significant donor that the facility is now named after them. Can you provide council a little bit of information in terms of your fundraising efforts and successes so far? Because
Yes.
you were ambitious with your price tag.
Oh, I didn't have to hold it. Oh, sorry, I didn't have to hold it. I'm not used to a microphone, believe it or not. Yes, the significant donation that you're speaking about was the first donation that we received, and it launched the entire campaign for the capital project. The Cape and Estate left all of their means, everything to us, and that allowed us to open up the possibility of the campaign, and we have been on an upward trend ever since. We have some significant donors, of course, but right now we are in our last 5 million. So we are really, really excited about that. And a big part of that is your support. But we are almost at the finish line. And our event next week that you're speaking about, we're looking forward to getting to know you a bit more and talk there, is a donor event to encourage people to come forward and help us with the last 5, because it's been, the total is 17.6. So we've done really well with the help of 3 municipalities, and then everything else has been on the backs of community members and personal private donors, many of whom come from are significant donors from our board of directors. So that's how we started. That was a 3.1 million start for us, and then we've been on an upward trajectory ever since.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up through you. That's fantastic. And one resident here locally, Jessica Bigalki, I always mispronounce her last name, the owner of Chuck's, our local
Yes.
restaurant. She's a huge advocate and has a very successful golf tournament every year. And I know when we were at her ribbon cutting for her bike afternoons that she's doing on Sundays, which are also benefiting your organization, her goal this year is 100,000. So I reached out to her, and she's going to be my +1 at your event next week. So you'll get a chance
That's
to
so
meet her
exciting.
directly.
Yeah, they've been incredible for us, really. That golf tournament is one of the best that are put on our behalf. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of a grassroots one. We really love it. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure I speak on behalf of council. Thank you for all you do. As I don't know if you know, I'm a huge animal supporter and animal lover. So anything that involves animals, I'm there. So I just want to say thank you. And I like the fact that also in July, there's a Mirage over at the Recplex in the back at the bandstand. And the proceeds are going also to the Georgian Triangle. So I'll gather a few people and we're going to head out there. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for all you guys do. You're greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much for your acknowledgement and for loving animals. I think everybody here does, which is why we have such great support. Wasaga Beach, the entire town has been incredible for these third-party events, and they host them on our behalf. And we just can't say enough. I can't say enough. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, well, congratulations. That's a long way to come in tough times. That's for sure. So think of it this way. You've only got 5 more million to go, and then you can sleep. All right. All right. Well, we're going to do a check presentation here for today, and this is just the first part of the phased commitment over 10 years. And Town of Wasaga Beach Council, on behalf of the residents, very happy to be able to help out with such a worthy cause. So thank you, ladies, for all you do, and let's get to the money. Turn my mic on. We'll now get on to the next item, delegations. Item number 8, and I'll look to our clerk for those delegations. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, and the deputy clerk I'll assist her in pulling the podium over, and we'll ask that Mr. Leslie Farkas attend the podium.
Good morning, Les. The mic is on. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. Today, I'm not here to debate the details of the agreement. While I have looked over it and I do have multiple concerns, I have to acknowledge the fact that Council has had access to the reports, the negotiations, the legal advice, the appraisals, and the discussions that most residents have not. You have far more information than the public does, and ultimately this decision rests with you. What I would like to ask today is very simple. This is one of the most significant transactions, land transactions in the history of our town. It involves public lands that will not easily be replaced once they're sold. It involves decisions that will affect our community for decades. As residents, we are entitled to know one thing. Do the members of this council genuinely believe that this is the best agreement that could be reasonably have been achieved for the residents of Wasaga Beach? Not a good agreement, not an acceptable agreement, the best agreement reasonably available. Do you believe this agreement provides the strongest balance of taxpayer protection, community benefit, and economic development that could have been attained? If the answer is yes, then I think residents deserve to hear that clearly before this vote is taken. Because years from now, the public will not remember every report. They will not remember every negotiation or every presentation. What they will remember is whether their elected officials stood behind this decision with confidence. So before voting, I respectfully ask that each member of council consider whether they are prepared to tell residents right now that I believe this is the best deal available for Wasaga Beach, and I stand behind that decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So just a reminder to council today, your questions, if you have questions, or they should be to the delegate. And if you have comments, I'll look to the floor now for questions or comments. Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Thank you, Mr. Farkas, for your presentation. And to your questions, I emphatically say yes, absolutely 100%, especially when you look historically at other deals that were in play in these lands. This is by far the best deal for the taxpayers.
All right, other questions or comments? Councillor Belanger?
Yes, again, Les, thank you for the presentation. As you know, I've been on council for 11 years. I'm very familiar with past deals that were proposed for the lands in question. And I will tell you that I vigorously opposed them because they were not in the best interest of our community. I am absolutely behind this deal. I am excited. This is a catalyst to grow our commercial tax base, which is, as everyone knows, is roughly around 6%. It's probably one of the lowest commercial tax bases of any community in South Georgian Bay, and it is certainly a long-term issue for our residential taxpayers. So this is a domino effect, and as you can see, as investment rolls into Wasaga Beach, it's not a single item, like the announcement yesterday of a $100 million project of 288 long-term care beds. These things don't happen in isolation. These happen because the development community in general is seeing the advantages of investing in Wasaga Beach, including the province, including companies like Costco. This is incredible. We're building momentum, and I am absolutely behind this project, this deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. We now look to Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship. And to Mr. Farkas, I emphatically vote yes for this. You said that people won't remember the reports, the deals, et cetera, but I will say they remember the disappointments, and I see that constantly when people say, get on with it, get it done. And I think something important to add is that, you know, our priorities were based on what we heard from the public. And what we heard time and time again was develop the beachfront, revitalize the beachfront, revitalize the commercial economy, and it's our time. And yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Councillor Ego.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. Yes, thank you, Mr. Farkas, for your presentation, your questions today. Emphatically, yes. I do not have a doubt in my body on this. I feel we're dealing with a very reputable company, developer on this, and I'm with the others. I've been here many years now, and I've seen so many just not go through. And I've seen the residents come out and question. I have not seen there'd be people here today, and I'm just not seeing that. I'm saying, let's get on with this. Please move forward. We're tired of nothing happening in this beach, and I feel we are dealing with the best we could be dealing with on this. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Councillor DeLeo.
Thank you, Mr. Farkas. I'm not going to comment on your questions right now. I do have some clarification questions I'm going to ask during the presentation, so I'll just refrain until then. Thank you.
Councillor White.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, the silver lining in the terrible fire of 2007 was the opportunity to redevelop the beachfront. We all know that the buildings that were down there were not designed for this current generation, and most certainly not for the future of our town. We've seen many deals presented to this council, to previous councils, come and go. Some had good attributes, some had terrible attributes. I think if you look at the best attributes of all the deals, this is what this deal represents, is the very best that we could get at every particular point. Today, we're going to talk about adding in the VTB, which I think gives the town much more leverage and more funds in the transaction of this deal, further cementing how good of a partner Sunray actually is in this bet. And you're right, the amount of debate, the amount of information that we have, town staff have, and the town lawyers have is far greater than that than the public can ever receive. And it's our jobs to execute as best as we can on that information, and we're elected here with your trust to do so. I've never seen so much debate happen on this particular topic. We've listened to the closed session tapes of other ones to see what council of the day was thinking, and I can tell you this has been debated down to every last detail. So with that, yes, I'm very much in favor of this deal. It's the very best thing this town can get. It's the very best deal this town has ever been proposed. And back, I think it was in 2014, when I was in your position, I stood in front of council and said the best thing that this town can do now that they've bought the lands is to sell them at a profit to the taxpayer. And I believe that's exactly what we're doing here today. So thank you for the question. And yes, yes, and yes.
Thank you, Councillor White. Thank you for your questions, Mr. Farkas. Here's what I will say. You know, I made a decision to bring to council back in 2014-15 the opportunity to buy these properties. And I said back then we needed to take control of these properties because we could not control what we didn't own. And council of the day agreed for the most part. But the majority of council agreed, and here we are today. I want to be clear that when we purchased these properties, it was never about purchasing them for a profit, although we always thought it would be good if we could. But it was about taking control and being able to move this community forward. And so to your question, do we believe that this is the absolute best deal that we could get for the taxpayer? I want to qualify, before I give you the answer, that the best deal today, the best deal that we've ever seen to this date. We don't know what could come forward in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 from now. And perhaps there are people that would prefer just to sit on their laurels and wait and wait and wait and wait until more comes and more comes and more comes or less comes. But at the end of the day, we have to deal with what's before us today. And I would say unequivocally, that this is the best deal with respect to this parcel of land that this town has ever seen. This is not a pie-in-the-sky deal. This doesn't have indoor ski hills. This is a deal that is a real hotel, a high-end, high-quality Marriott hotel and resort, and a deal that has been put together with the country's #1 hotelier, with over 80 projects in hotels and plus many, many other projects. Very successful corporation who have, in my opinion, dealt in nothing but good faith, have kept their word to date on everything that they said they would do, and have been more than eager to listen to what the municipality had to say, listen to this council, listen to staff, and work together to put the best possible deal today together that we could. Councillor White, you brought up a really good point. You know, back in 2007, you know, that the silver lining was that this would help us redevelop our community. And, you know, it's interesting how everyone talks about 2007 and the fire being the downturn, if you will, of Wasaga Beach. Well, I'm here to tell you that it was long before 2007 when the downturn of Wasaga Beach occurred. The fire just added to that. And, you know, it's kind of like, when is the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. And when is the best time to move this community forward and to bring world-class developers and world-class retailers to town? Well, it was probably 20 years ago. But this council can only control today. So let me be very, very clear for Mr. Farkas and anyone else. As the mayor of this community, I stand behind this deal and this plan 100%. Hard stop. There's no doubt in my mind that this is what is best for this community today. And having said that, thank you for your question once again. And I'll now look back to our clerk for next delegation. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before we move to Mr. Vidanoski, I'd just like a motion to receive the delegation from Mr. Leslie Farkas for information. If we could get a mover and a seconder.
Motion to receive the delegation from Mr. Farkas. Can mover and a seconder on this, please? Councillor Timms and Councillor DeLeo. All in favor? Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll now ask that Mr. Vidanoski go to the podium.
Good morning, Your Worship and members of council. Thank you for allowing us to speak today.
Sorry.
I am...
Sorry.
Yeah?
You're not Mr. Vindanovsky.
I'm Kristen Vidanovsky, Nicola's wife.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
It'll be a council decision on whether we allow. Sorry. It was indicated to me that Mr. Vidanoski was delegating today.
I think it's important to point out to the public, for now and into the future, the individual who wants to delegate to council, if accepted, should be the individual who delegates to council, unless they say that they're coming with and or with another person or representative. So we'll have to, this is a procedural issue again, so will we need a 2/3 vote here, Madam Clerk? Okay, do you have a resolution?
Sorry, can I get the first name again?
Your full name?
Kristen Vidanovsky, Christon.
Thank you, Worship. So I'll ask that we pass a motion that council approve a delegation request from Mrs. Kristen Vidanovsky to address council regarding report, I'm to assume it's 10.6?
Correct. Yep.
10.6 beachfront agreement of purchase and sale for Sunray.
All right, you've heard the question. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Snell, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? Carries unanimously. Okay, you may go ahead.
Thank you. So what brings me here today is within the purchase agreement sale with Sunray for the properties down at the Beach Area 1, there is Appendix A, and I'm looking specifically at points D and E, an access easement and an easement removal, which specifically mentions 10 Main Street, which is owned by my husband and I. I'm curious to know what exactly this looks like for me, as I do know we are in the process of working some kind of agreement out with you. It was about a year ago when my husband was approached on the sidewalks down at the beach and asked to sign a piece of paper that the town needed us to sign within 2 weeks, which I'm assuming would have alleviated this on that day. We chose to seek legal counsel just to make sure that we were making the best decisions for our piece of property. And boy, am I glad we did, because had we not, we would have been landlocked today with all the construction changes and delays. So for that reason, I would like to know, what are your intentions clearly in layman's terms, and what kind of timelines are on those intentions? Because my lawyer was as surprised as I am to know that there are talks of easement removals when we haven't even settled the agreements that we are currently working on for the past year. Also, with that being said, I'm surprised to not see the agreement that we have with the town for 10 Main Street, which lists 10 parking spots that I am rightfully entitled to on Playland parking lot, which are deeded to 10 Main Street legally. I guess it's my time here now to say that I am going on record with the town of Wasaga Beach in regards to the documents I have provided and have brought with me today in case you need another copy, that I do intend to enforce my property rights as outlined in these documents. So I'm not sure if Sunray is even aware that I have 10 parking spots on that property, but maybe that needs to be brought up in discussions as well. That being said, I am eagerly looking forward to hearing some information as to what this looks like for me, because neither myself or my lawyer has been made aware of any easement removals to that property.
All right, thank you very much. I'll look to our CAO to respond. Mr. CAO?
Yep, thank you, Mr. CAO, and thank you for the presentation, Mrs. Vidanovsky. As you mentioned, your husband and yourself have been aware of this issue for over a year. Both myself and GM Lalonde approached Mr. Vidanovsky in April of 2025, indicating that, as Ms. Vidanovsky just mentioned, your property's address is off of Main Street. The municipality will absolutely provide access to your property. That access should be off of Main Street, where your property is addressed. The reason you have an easement is twofold. Number one, Main Street was closed many decades ago, and you needed to be provided access. So that easement was provided to allow you access. We are in the process of reopening Main Street. This council has provided direction to staff to reopen, and we are in the process of doing so. The curbs were poured last week. The team from Arnott Construction are in the process of finishing Main Street. We have been told before Labor Day, Main Street will be reopened again. For the first time in a generation, you will see cars allowed to drive on Main Street. At that time, that access can be reinstated. What we indicated to Mr. Vidanovsky over a year ago is that when that occurs, we would like the easement changed from Playland parking lot to an access to Main Street. He initially indicated that he was happy to work with the municipality, at which point GM Lalonde contacted our legal counsel and said, okay, well, we will draw up the agreement for you. We encourage you to consult with your legal counsel. We always encourage anyone to work with their legal counsel. And we provided an agreement over a year ago. We are still waiting for a signature on that agreement. Sunray, as they should, correctly put a clause in the agreement that they would like that easement removed. And they would like the municipality to exert best efforts to ensure that that happens. That is perfectly appropriate. And that is what we intend to do. We are hopeful that Mr. Vidanovsky will come back to the table and sign the agreement. And our commitment is We would never remove the easement until access is provided off of Main Street. That is a very fair and reasonable approach. So that is what I will share with council on that point. With respect to 10 parking spots, Mr. Vidanovsky approached the municipality months ago and said the municipality owes him $180,000. And I said, please explain why we owe you $180,000. Because I own 10 parking spots, registered on title. We had our lawyer look into it. They're not registered on title. So met again with Mr. Vidanovsky, and I said, help me understand this. Was there an agreement made previously? I don't know. I'm not seeing anything on paper that reflects this agreement. I'm not disputing it. If you can produce something that says we owe you $180,000, I will talk to the CFO and we will ensure that this that you get paid. To date, I have yet to see anything that proves ownership. There's nothing registered on title. If the Vidanovskys can come forward with documentation that proves this, we're happy to sit down and discuss how to resolve that. But to date, I have yet to see anything, and our lawyers have yet to see anything that proves the claim. But again, we're open-minded, and we're quite willing to sit down with the Vidanovskys and their legal counsel to discuss that issue. That's all I'll say about that today, and we can update in the future.
Thank you very much. No, Ms. Vidanovsky, we're not going to debate this today. You asked your questions. You were given your opportunity. We have given you the best answer. We've replied. Happy, if you want to reach out to the CAO and come in and sit down and have that discussion, happy to do so.
Okay, or you could hear how that conversation actually happened 3 years ago.
Well, like I said, we're not here to debate this today. You've had your delegation. You're happy to have you reach out, come in, bring your legal counsel. I highly recommend that, and we're happy to look into this, but as they've already done. But we're not going to debate this today. Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, you have a resolution?
Thank you, Worship. That the delegation from Mrs. Kristen Vidanovsky be received for information.
Sorry, I just want to be clear. It's Kristen? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had it right. All right. You've heard the question. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? That carries unanimously. All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Now moving on to item number 9, government relations, and item number 9.1 is planning legislative changes. And we'll look to our manager of planning, Mark Bryan, to speak to this. Mark?
Thank you, Your Worship. The province is proposing a number of changes to the provisions and regulations of the Planning Act that would enhance municipal authority for 2 matters. The first matter deals with changes proposed as part of Bill 119, the Protecting Ontario Streets and Communities Act, which would allow zoning use infractions to be addressed through a municipal administrative monetary penalty system, also known as AMPS, rather than proceed through the courts. Essentially, the changes would allow for municipalities to issue fines to property owners that are undertaking uses that are not permitted by the town's zoning bylaw. This approach would be expected to support increased compliance and avoid the time and expense of dealing with infractions through the court system. The proposed changes have been posted on the Environmental Registry of Ontario, and the commenting period is open until June 25th. The second matter deals with proposed changes to Ontario Regulation 699/98 under the Planning Act, which would provide Simcoe County with the authority to exempt lower-tier municipalities such as Wasaga Beach from the county's approval process for official plan amendments. The proposed changes would be effective November 2nd of this year, at which time the county could pass a bylaw exempting the lower tier municipalities from their own, from approval authority, from the county's approval authority. So it's noted that should an exemption bylaw be approved by the county, it would not apply to new official plans or matters connected with Section 26 updates to an official plan, such as the 5-year and 10-year reviews. Additionally, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing would continue to retain their authority under the Planning Act to intervene where necessary for matters of provincial policy and interest. I'll just point out that in a related proposal, the lower tier municipalities of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, Innisfil, and New Tecumseh, as well as Simcoe County, would be exempted with these proposed changes without the necessity of the county passing an exemption bylaw. So just to conclude, overall, the proposed changes would allow for a more streamlined process, and they would be consistent with the purposes of the Planning Act, which provide for a land use planning system led by provincial policy, planning processes that are fair by making them open, accessible, timely, and efficient, and recognition of the decision-making authority and accountability of municipal councils in planning decision-making. And in this case, the proposed changes have been posted to the regulatory registry, and the commenting period is open until July 1st. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Questions or comments from members of council on this matter? Pretty straightforward, I think, or as straightforward as it gets. All right, seeing none, we'll now move on then to item number 9.2, which is Bill 9 Municipal Accountability Act 2026 update. And our General Manager of Legislative and Development Services, or our clerk, will speak to this. Nicole?
Thank you, Your Worship. Council will remember that I provided an update on Bill 9, the Municipal Accountability Act, on May 15th, 2025. This legislation passed third reading with a vote of 110 to 1 in the Ontario Legislature and received royal assent on June 2nd. The legislation enables the creation of a standardized municipal code of conduct and a consistent integrity commissioner inquiry process throughout the province. This legislation provides greater accountability, increased transparency, and additional mechanisms to address the most serious misconduct, with the ability for a member of council to be removed from office for egregious conduct. So next steps, I've recently just attended an AMCTO conference. The speaker was actually the Integrity Commissioner of Ontario in one of the sessions. It was great to hear her speak. It was relayed that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing will draft the regulation, and the standard code of conduct will be introduced through those regs. There's no timeline on when we're to expect the regulations to be drafted. However, the IC of Ontario has committed to provide an FAQ in the coming months on what their new role will be, and the Clerk's Division will be consulting with the municipal sector, AMCTO, and the town's IC about these changes. It is anticipated that this legislation will be in place for the new term of council, and extensive training will be provided on the new code of conduct, the new regulation, to the new council. Thank you, Your Worship.
Excellent. Thanks for that update. Questions or comments on this matter? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 10, which is staff reports, and it's noted that 10.3, 10.4, 10.6, and 10.9 have been pulled from the consent agenda to be dealt with under matters for consideration. If there's no other items there to be pulled, we do have a recommended motion that the following consent list items under staff reports and all recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding items pulled, and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. May I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor Ego. All in favor? Carries unanimously. Item number 11 is correspondence items, and it's noted that 11.1 and 11.5 have been pulled from the consent agenda to be dealt with under matters for consideration. If there's no other items to be pulled there, we do have a recommended motion that the following consent list items under correspondence be received for information, excluding items pulled, and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Councillor Timms and Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 12, minutes of boards and committees. Nothing has been pulled there. If there's no questions or comments, the recommended motion is that the consent list items under minutes of boards and committees be received for information. A mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Belanger and Councillor White. All in favor? That carries unanimously. And now on to item number 13, matters for consideration. And the first item here is the financial report 2026 Q1 to the council meeting of June 11th, and this is pulled by Councillor DeLeo. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Jocelyn, I just have one clarification question for you. I'm a little confused. So you state here that there are note receivable amounts of $7.7 million for the following three purposes: hydro loan, Wasaga Beach Sports and Entertainment loan, and then Stonebridge loan. Then I go over here to the accounts receivables, and it says note receivables. So I see just under 3.6 million note receivable with Stonebridge. So is that a loan that we gave Stonebridge? Because it says loan.
Thank you, through your worship. Yes, the note receivable is payable to the town, and it is for the Stonebridge lands, and that was brought to council, I think, about a month ago, and that was established. So that's on our balance sheet there, just as we have the WDI loan note receivable, and we have the WBSE note receivable. So all three are listed on the balance sheet.
Okay, sorry, so if I'm not an accountant, so I'm just trying to understand it a bit better. So we loaned Stonebridge the money, or did that money go into a receivables account that we have not yet received?
It's in a receivable account that we have not yet received. So the land has transferred to Stonebridge. They have not yet paid for the land, so that's why there's a note receivable. So that money is still owed to the town per the terms of the agreement.
So it's just showing on the books?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just for clarification, this was as per the original agreement with Stonebridge, correct?
Correct. This is as per all the terms of the APS.
That came to council and was adopted by council.
That is correct.
Thank you, Madam CFO. Anything further, Councillor? All right, then the next, then we do have the recommended motion that the report titled 2026 Financial Report Q1 to the council meeting of June 11th, 2026 be received for information. A mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Councillor Ego. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Belanger.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo. Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And moving on to item number, the next item, which is pulled by Deputy Mayor Snell and Councillor DeLeo, and this is the item with respect to the Q1 casino funding report. Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I requested this report through our CFO just because I think it's really important to share with the community how those dollars are being invested, because we're getting a good amount of money coming from the casino. So I'd like to turn the floor to Jocelyn to speak to the report first, and then I'll follow up with a comment or question. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Jocelyn?
Thank you, through your worship. This report just brings forward the current status of casino funding. So we receive money annually from the casino, and it's there to show how much have we received to date as of the end of December. So that was just over $4 million. And then it shows how much casino funds have we spent as of December, and that's $915,000. Next, it shows the casino reserves at the end of 2025. So we have $3.1 million still of the casino money in reserves. And then casino funds that were received as of 2026, because this financial report is going to the end of Q1 of 2026, and we received a first quarterly payment of $306,000. The funding that has been received from the casino now to the end of Q1 is $4,358,000. And we have in 2026, in our budget, we have planned to spend $3.3 million of funding. Majority of that funding is related to the theater that is part of the new school. Whether or not that will actually get spent in 26 depends on the timeline of the school production. So we have built it into the budget, but it probably will end up being a multi-year disbursement. And the projected balance at the end of the year for 2026 is that if we were to spend all of the theater funds in 26, we would still have $968,000 remaining in the casino funds. Also, there's spending noted for the future years of $2 million and $3 million, and that is listed in one of the tables in the report, which shows that we have planned for the medical clinic to use $1.3 million, and then the doctor recruitment of $225,000, and then still pending if should we need to pull from the casino reserve the $500,000 loan to the WBSE, which is still hasn't been pulled out of the casino reserve at this time. So with that, Your Worship, I'll turn the floor back. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam CFO. Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Excuse me, through you. I think it's just really important to share with the community the great initiatives that are coming from this casino money. Like we look at just a couple weeks ago, launching the veterans murals that will be there for decades, investing in poverty reduction strategies, the doctor recruitment, as you mentioned, the medical clinic. Every day I drive by at 4 o'clock, there's 20, 25 people standing in line waiting to go inside and get treatment. Adding to the Windrow program, bumping up the food bank donation. Like, we've done a lot of great stuff with this, and the fact that our community, through that collective collaborative hub of the high school, investing $2.4 million into the theater to get a community theater that we can, use for our purposes is just phenomenal. I'm so grateful that this community got that casino, because we're clearly seeing the massive benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. And now on to Councillor DeLeo.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Deputy Mayor Snell. Thank you, that was well said. I just have one question, though. Again, a little confused here. So I pulled out the 2025 corporate report just to compare. So in the 2025, it does show the Wasaga Beach Sports and Entertainment seed money for $500,000. So that is correct. Today's, in the Table 2, casino funds spent pending, I don't see it in there. It disappeared from the 2024 column. So just let me finish. So then it says here, so this is the part that I'm really concerned about. In addition to the above expenditures, there is a note receivable for future repayment of the loan to WBSC for seed funding. Any shortfall in repayment of the $500,000 loan would be covered through casino funding, hence the amount cite as a future commitment until such time is paid. So if I'm reading this correctly, I could be wrong, but clarify, we're going to take out another $500,000 out of the casino fund to pay for the original $500,000 loan. So basically, we are withdrawing $1 million out of the casino fund to pay back. That's why I'm asking. That's how it's sounding to me. So if you can clarify that for me. Thank you.
Madam CFO.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. So in the first question, we did allocate the $500,000 between the tables. So it was in the Table 2, and now we've put it into Table 3 because it just, for our purposes, it was just a better presentation of it. So right now we have the $500,000 note receivable, and that stands. And if that is paid back, none of the casino funding is drawn. If that is not paid back, let's say $350,000 is paid back, but $150,000 is not, then that $150,000 that is not paid back will be covered through the casino. So it's not an additional amount; it's within the same $500,000.
I think what the CFO, in layman's terms, you asked, you can't spend money twice. And so basically the $500,000 seed money was placed from the casino funds. I'm just trying to help people understand, almost like a reserve, if you will. So that $500,000 is sitting there so we don't go and spend it on something else. If that money is returned, then that $500,000 remains in the casino funds to be spent on something else. If for some reason the $150,000 or whatever doesn't get returned, whatever doesn't get returned gets paid back to the town out of the casino funds, and the balance remaining, in this case would be roughly $350,000, would be given back. There's nothing lost on that $350,000. It's in the bank.
Okay, so I understand that now. So that means that the casino fund money for the WBSC is still in the casino fund. Oh, I thought it was taken out and then put into a different fund, and, okay, no, I get it. I understand that.
It's still in the casino
Oh,
fund.
good, okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Makes sense, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, any other questions or comments on this matter? Deputy Mayor Snell?
I might be out of line, Your Worship, but correct me if I am. But I think it's also important to understand that the $500,000 of seed money for WBSC has not entirely been spent. Right? So we don't want the public thinking that either, that money is still sitting there. And as we all know, that organization, that corporation is on pause. so that, we do some restructuring there, but not all that money is spent.
Very good point. Thank you. All right, Councillor Belanger?
Yes, I just think it's, through the mayor, it's important to also reinforce, and we've said it before, is the casino money that went towards the theater and the partnership with the Catholic School Board. A theater for the arts, which has been a desire in our community for a long time, and for many organizations that work in the arts, that would have been price prohibitive for us to build a freestanding theater. So again, for this investment paid out of casino funds, literally, I would say I'd be very conservative to say that without this partnership, a facility like that would be in the range of $25 to $30 million or more. So not only is it great use of the funds, it's an unbelievable investment for our community, and one that's been desired for a very long time.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we have a recommended motion that the report titled 2026 Q1 Casino Funding Report to the council meeting of June 11, 2026 be received for information. Mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego. Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor?
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And moving on to the next item, which is the beachfront agreement of purchase and sale with Sunray, pulled by Councillor White and Councillor DeLeo. Councillor White?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. A lot of talk about this today. I guess the only major change that we really are here to look at today is the VTB at 4.75%. The VTB is always in the benefit, in this case, to the town of Wasaga Beach, so I'm happy to see that. And I also see that it should net about an extra $600,000 in this deal, if I'm not mistaken. Unless there's anything I'm missing in that, which it just seems all positive to me and gives a little bit more leverage for the town, is there something else I'm missing?
Who wants to take that, CAO or CFO? Mr. CAO?
I will start through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor White. Yeah, correct. Everything else in the deal is consistent with what was presented in May 14th, I believe, was when I came. Actually, sorry, the other change is the closing date. Because of the delay and going back to Sunray, we had to push the closing date to July 6th. Let me explain the VTB, because that is the real change. The reason for that, it's really just a cash flow issue for Sunray. The capital that goes into building a hotel is significant. It's pushing $100 million. You also need to recognize this is not the only project that Sunray is building. They own almost 80 hotels across the country. They're acquiring new, they're renovating, they're building new. So for a company like that, cash flow is important. A VTB assists with cash flow on the portion of land that they don't need in the short term. Let me explain the phasing and how this will work, and you'll understand how the VTB will work. So the first move will be the Phase 1 lands. They will start construction on that. They've told us later this summer. They will begin the foundation work on that. The approximate build time, they've said they can do it under 2 years. Let's use 2 years just to give a bit of time in case there are some unforeseen things that happen. So if you assume 2 years for the build of the hotel, they will then need the Phase 2 and Phase 3 lands for surface parking when the hotel opens. Their intention is approximately 3 months before the hotel opens. They will mobilize on the Phase 2 and 3 lands and build new surface parking. That is better for our community, brings it up to Marriott quality. The VTB will allow them to do that. Whether or not they do that with the VTB still in place, again, that is to be determined. They can pay out the VTB early, should they choose to do so, but we have an outset limit. Following that, the next move they will make is to pull the trigger on a structured parking garage. That will go on the Phase 2 lands. As soon as they do that, normal practice is to arrange construction financing. Construction financing would want to be in first position on the loan. We have talked to Sunray they would likely pay out the VTB should that occur prior to the 3-year period. So at the outset limit, there's a 2-year plus an option for an additional year. At the end of that, the town would be paid in full for the approximately $5.6 million on the Phase 2 and Phase 3 lands. In the interim, our CFO has done the calculations to arrive at what we believe is an appropriate interest rate. The VTB for the first 2 years would be 5.75. The revenue that come to the town is in excess of 600. I believe it's is it 340, 350 a year approximately? Approximately, yes. So it's actually closer to $700,000 that the municipality would realize. Should they exercise the 3rd-year option, that interest rate would increase to 8.75. This is all fair, reasonable, fairly normal in development projects, fairly normal for municipalities. Our legal team has reviewed it. They're very comfortable with the terms and conditions. It's a good deal for both parties. It helps both parties. We make a bit more revenue, helps them with their cash flow, but we also have an outset limit when we will realize the full payment, which is good. That definitely assists the CFO in the long-range financial planning.
Anything to add, Madam CFO?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I think Mr. CEO has covered everything.
Thank you very much. Anything further? Councillor White, go ahead.
Yeah, just so I'm clear on the risk. If Sunray had financed the $5 million through a bank or a consortium of some sort, and something terrible happened and they ended up in a default situation, there would be a receiver that would step in and manage the properties at that point. Whereas the town having a vendor take back on this, if there is some sort of terrible situation and they default, the town gets back into the driver's seat with these lands. Is that correct?
That's correct. Through Mr. Mayor, we would be in first position, so the risk is minimized. And again, the reason for this is you typically don't arrange construction financing until you're ready to do construction. They're not building anything on the Phase 2 and 3 lands, probably for a couple years, a little bit give or take depending on timing. So again, it's a very reasonable approach. Risk is extremely low. Even after they had improved the parking lot, if there was a default, the town gets an improved parking lot back. So the risk here is virtually minimal.
Yeah, thank you. Well, not a minor change. Very glad to see that come back to council, and it seems like a very good position for the town, so thanks.
Thank you. Councillor DeLeo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I just have a few questions for clarification here. I was up quite late last night going through it all, so I did some highlights. One thing that really struck me, because I've got them all printed in front of me, so we've got the corporate report. Speak louder. We got the corporate report. Then we have Amendment A, then a B. If you look at the heading, like in the corporate report, it says, Part 3, that the mayor and clerk, blah, blah, the mayor, where is it here? The sale Sunray Beach Drive, Inc. Then Appendix A, Sunray Beach Drive 2, Inc. And then Appendix B, Sunray Beach Drive, Inc. So, is it 2 different companies? That's my first question, yeah.
I'm going to go one by one. Okay. Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, that's correct. They will have likely 2 or 3 companies overall. Again, standard development practice to form companies when you're developing property. So yes, they are going to be working with Sunray Beach Drive 2, Inc. We amended the first agreement that referenced Sunray Beach Drive. So they are creating a company. Beach Drive 2 will be the company that they build the hotel with. We did consult with our legal counsel to see if that was an issue. They said no, it's not an issue at all.
Takes care of the first one. Okay, then, Appendix A, or Amendment A, you've got here in the recitals, Section B, Sunray is desirous of acquiring from the town an additional 1.475 acres of land adjacent to the hotel project to accommodate its expansion and vehicle parking as legally described in Schedule A. So if I look at the picture, the Schedule A1 concept plan, when you add B1 and B2, it equals 1.843 acres. Here it says 1.475. Am I missing something? We're short half an acre.
So When I previously presented this to council on May 14th, I explained that the original deal that we did was for 1.5 acres. The hotel site has grown beyond 1.5 acres to approximately 1.8. So that's the missing land that you're asking about. That has been factored into the purchase price for phase 1. So that additional approximately half an acre, 0.4, whatever it is, the approximate half an acre was costed out at the fair market appraisal value that we received for phase 2 and 3. That's why the phase 1 purchase price is now over $2 million, because we have factored that into the phase 1 purchase. There will be a check that comes July 6th for that full amount, less the deposit that we've already received, and then the phase 2 and phase 3 are the remainder.
Phase A is 1.502 acres, so we get an additional...
That's
that
correct.
additional- okay.
So it's a blended rate with the previous purchase price, plus it's approximately 3.8 million an acre is the current fair market value. We've blended that in to get the phase 1 purchase price.
Okay, fair enough, thank you. Okay, next, Sunray's representations and warranties. A, let me see if I got this right, agreement. So I'm just curious though, with the, you said it's 2 or 3 different companies. Did we do due diligence? Like, do they have any assets? Like, did we do, like, is it, I know it's a shell company, correct? The other 2 companies? The 2, Sunray Inc. Drive 2 is a shell company?
So,
No?
sorry, you're asking about due diligence on Sunray Beach Drive 2 Inc.?
Do you have any assets? What if, like, did you do any background check on them? It's a new company.
So, sorry, that's how development works. In any development that occurs in this country, in North America, there is typically an incorporated company or an LLC that is created for that development. There is a parent company, Sunray Group, and they form companies for every development project. That's how development works.
The parent company will be responsible.
Yeah, so there,
Okay.
again, that's part of all the legal agreements that go on behind the scenes. Our lawyers review all of that to ensure everything is done properly. Guarantors, all that kind of thing.
Oh, so to be clear, Mr. Seo, these companies are created specifically for this specific development?
Absolutely. Every developer in Wasaga Beach does the exact same thing.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, we answered the easement question. Then we have, okay. So the one that really stuck out, like with Councillor White, is the VTB mortgage. I have a bit of a problem with that. It would have been nice if it was mentioned as it's a first mortgage. What's to say that Sunray doesn't go, let's say, to the Royal Bank, take out a first mortgage? Do we now become the second mortgagers? Like, is that how it works?
No. So through you, Mr. Mayor, the requirement for the municipality is that we are in first position. That is, has been conveyed to Sunray. There will be a VTB mortgage agreement that is created that will specify all the terms and conditions. They will be required to produce insurance, et cetera, and it will specify that the town must be in first position. That is one of the CFO's line in the sand positions for our municipality.
Good, thank you.
And
That's
important to
exactly
note that will be placed on the title of the property, like any other mortgage.
That's correct.
And the only way you get rid of the first mortgagor is to pay them.
Yeah, no, thank you. I like that answer. Thank you. Yeah, that was really concerning for me. The other one that really kind of struck out, which I don't understand, is the closing costs. 13. It keeps on repeating, if Sunray or the beneficial owner from whom it holds title. Are we referring to the other companies under Sunray? Because it's mentioned 3 more times.
Sorry, what
Sorry,
are you
okay.
concerned about?
So closing costs, number 13, with respect to harmonized sales tax, HST imposed under the Excessive Tax Act, it says, I, if Sunray or the beneficial owner for whom it holds title is not a registrant under the ETA or is a registrant who is not permitted to self-assess and remit HST under the ETA, Sunray or the beneficial owner for whom it holds title shall pay to the town any HST eligible in connection. So it's what's in brackets, or the beneficial owner for whom it holds title. Who's the beneficial owner?
I think what that is referring to is Sunray Beach Drive 2 Inc. They have the ability to create other companies should they wish to do so. There's reasons why you do that. If you have a parking structure, you might want that structure in a separate company. Again, this is all business planning on their end. At the end of the day, they need to pay HST. So it's not an issue. Madam CFO, do you have any concerns with that?
Thank you. Madam CFO?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. So this is normal with HST. So if they're going to remit the HST, or the company they've created remits the HST, as long as they're registered to do that, they will do it. If in any case it wasn't registered to remit the HST, then they will pay the HST to the town, and the town will remit the HST on their behalf. So it's a common type of transaction clause.
So I think, to be clear for you, Councillor, you are correct. Whether it be Sunray Inc., whether it be Beach Drive 2, 7, 9, 53, whatever they create, whatever that company is, they have to pay GST. This is a standard clause in just about any development agreement where HST is applicable.
I was just questioning the beneficial owner. Was it them? I just wanted to clarify that it is them. It wasn't something else. Okay. Moving on. Not much more. The other one that I didn't quite understand here, 50% being Sunray's, this is for the responsible for the following costs. Section 2, 50% being Sunray's share of the town's costs for preparing any reference plan necessary for the transfer of the lands to Sunray. Is that normal for us to pay for half and them to pay for half?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. Yeah, that's quite normal. We've already prepared one reference plan. We wanted to ensure that Festival Square was appropriately split and severed from the transaction. That reference plan has already been created. We are working with them to create we 3 pins that are created, so we will need an amendment to that reference plan, so the cost will be shared. Yeah.
Last one on this page. The end, the permitted encumbrance, the lands, the general. So it says here, section 3, cost sharing, servicing, the similar agreements. Okay, it says for utilities, and so with this cost sharing, will they be sharing the cost for the utilities as well?
Do you have a specific question about utilities or in general?
Just in general, are they going to chip in for the utilities?
100%, yes.
Yeah, the full amount or just any percentage?
So we're in the process of figuring out what those costs are. We're working with Wasaga Distribution. Kevin, do you want to speak to that at all, or?
I guess I'm not quite clear on the question, but ultimately, they're going to be responsible for their proportionate share regardless. Any services related to the development specific will be their cost, and yeah, if there's anything specific you have.
Well, any hydro lines that got to go there, the water main pipes that have to go there, they'll be responsible for that? Is that how it works?
Their proportionate share. So the way it works is there will be development on the entire beachfront. What the town, WDI, are currently looking at is what we need for the long term as well as the short term. We have enough power for the hotel, we have enough power for the breakers, but we have a master plan, a 30-year plan. So we want to look at what is required in the long run and how to phase in that infrastructure. So there will be some costs for Sunray, there will be some costs for breakers, and some will be paid for to be determined developers in the future. That's normal. That's how this works.
Fair enough. Yep. No, that's a good answer. Thank you.
From the standpoint, Councillor, with respect to hydro, it's the utility's responsibility to ensure that hydro is available at the road, if you will.
Yeah.
It's the developer or the landowner, even if you build a new house, you pay to bring hydro from the road to your home. This is no different. The developer will pay their proportionate share. So if the master plan that is completed says we need to have 44 kV lines, and I know I'm speaking a different language, but it's a high number of kilowatts, then who's going to use that and in what portion? And so whatever portion of that is the responsibility of that, each developer to pay that.
Good, okay.
And if I could add, again, I repeatedly say this, I try not to pay attention to Facebook. There was some erroneous information posted about $16 million hydro, that's just not true. We've been working very closely with WDI. There are upgrades required. We've known about them for years. They're in the process of planning all of that. Sunray does not get saddled with $16 million in hydro upgrades. That's just not how this works. They will pay their proportionate share, and the number is nowhere close to $16 million. We are getting firm numbers. We should have those in the next few weeks, and I believe Brandon from WDI will be speaking to that to council in the not-too-distant future. So don't believe everything you read on Facebook.
I think to add to that, the beachfront is not the only area of town that requires upgrades and more service and more power. Yeah, we've got the high school building built, we've got the rest of Elm Developments, we've got Farside Homes. There needs to be infrastructure placed out there with more power to the far west end now, where the new water tower and whatnot will be. We will see more infrastructure being created. This is common in every community across the country hydro does not build anything until it's required. If not, it becomes what we refer to as a stranded asset. And under the Ontario Energy Board regulations, which hydro is heavily regulated under, they frown upon stranded assets. So they want you to only build what you need when you need it.
Just to be clear, why I asked the questions, because it was on the agenda. It's on your agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked it. I don't do the Facebook, no, not for me. One last question. So, and I noticed it on the 2 appendixes, the signatures. So we have Mr. Gupta's signature here, but I'm noticing that on both, there's no date. When was it signed?
So the agreement needs to be executed. Should council choose to proceed with the agreement, it would be executed and dated today.
Good. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we do have a recommended, oh, this is a novel, Madam Clerk. We do have a recommended motion that the report titled Beachfront Agreement of Purchase and Sale Sunray to Council meeting of June 11, 2026 be received, and that council approve the sale of 31 Beach Drive, part of 40 Mosley Street, and parts of 32, 28, 24, and 20 Main Street, according to the terms and conditions outlined in the attached agreement of purchase and sale, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the agreement of purchase and sale with Sunray Beach Drive 2, Inc., attached as Appendix A, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the amended agreement of purchase and sale with Sunray Beach Drive, Inc., attached as Appendix B, and that council authorize staff to proceed with all of the actions necessary to give effect to these agreements, including the execution and registration of any required documents. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Belanger and seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? Oh, Madam Clerk, sorry.
Councillor Belanger. Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor.
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
Emphatically in favor.
Mayor Smith.
Emphatically in favor.
That carries unanimously. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to the next item, Development Charge Reduction Program, and this was pulled by Councillor White and Councillor Belanger. Councillor White?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I do have a lengthy comment. However, I think if it's possible, maybe have either the CAO or the CFO give a comment first.
CAO?
I'll be the intro act for our CFO, who has done all of the calculations here. She does. This was an interesting one for us. As you know, this program was launched not long ago, and the timeline is very short. Whenever there is a program like this, we always pay attention, we always do our homework to see if this is the right thing for this community, which is exactly what our CFO has done. I think at this time, we are recommending it is not, but there are a lot of details that the development community, quite frankly, doesn't understand about the implications of this. It is not a simple program. It is quite convoluted. And our opinion is that it's not really well suited for smaller towns. It's really a program designed for big cities. This is something that I think we will convey to the province, that if you're going to do these kinds of things, we really need programs that are designed for a small town that we can take advantage of. But to the development community, and we've had a number of developers coming in asking if we would please participate in this program. That's why we thought it was appropriate for our CFO to walk you through the financial impact of it so they understand, subject to council's direction, why we would recommend not participating at this time. So over to you, Jocelyn.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think the most important point here is this is very complex and a very short time. And it involves having to look at your capital projects that are going to enable housing, and only those are eligible. So that you may not have that in your capital plan as the next project you were going to be doing, but you'd have to bring that forward and push other things aside to bring that one project, should you have one, available. And I think in looking at the larger municipalities, they have multi-projects available ready to go that are close to shovel ready. We don't have that same level of activity. We have a lot of commitment that we have recently made over the past 4 or 5 years between our Arena Library and our River Road West and our Beach Drive project that has consumed a lot of our resources, and our financial plan is designed around completing what we have already committed to and then moving forward with our Wasaga destination plan. This does not provide the opportunity for us to finish with those plans and financially be able to take on the commitment of what is required to participate in the grant program. So the program is focused on the larger cut you make to your DCs, the higher probability that you will get the grant funding. And the grant funding is to help offset what you're cutting in those DCs. And our DCs, you need to have DCs available for your project, and the main reason for that is because you have to cash flow the project. So if you have a $5 or $10 million project that you're going to take on, you've got to cash flow that. So you've got to have DC reserves available to draw on so that you can manage that cash flow before they pay you. The payment plan for the grant is there's 8 different milestones. So there's 8 different times of payment. So you have to be able to do this. So for multiple reasons and for where we are in our planning stage, the program really does not fit well for the town. At a different point in time and with us at a different point of commitments, this may have been a good program for us. However, not at this time. And it is quite a complex application, and I'm very surprised they gave such a narrow timeline to prepare. And I believe that's probably because they already know who's going to be in the uptake of the grant program, and those municipalities are probably already quite capable of responding in that timeline. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor White?
Yes, thank you both for that. After reading the report and the AMO primer on this, it's clear now that the cost of opting into the DCRP may undermine long-term municipal fiscal stability and require increases to property taxes, user rates, or debt-related servicing costs. I don't see how this supports or promotes the concept of attainable housing. I don't see any requirement for developers to provide proof of a discount to a homeowner. I feel like it's reckless to gamble with huge discounts to developers without a reasonable guarantee that the town would be made whole. Furthermore, it appears as though success would be receiving about 90% of the discounted funds after a great deal of effort, like you just mentioned, the 8 stages, and time spent competing against municipalities for funding. It appears as though the program is designed for certain municipalities and misses the opportunity to benefit all municipalities dealing with growth. I was happy to see the announcement in the news, and am now disappointed as the details make the headlines just a little bit misleading. So I won't be in favor of going ahead in the program either.
Thank you very much, Councillor White. Councillor Belanger?
Yeah, through the mayor, I did not pull this, but I heard CFO language. I'm going to sort of explain it in my understanding, and you can clarify me if I'm correct. So if we did have a project shovel-ready, and we did qualify, and we did participate in the program itself only makes us whole 90% of the discount we provided on the development charges. The capital funding, so let's say we wanted to do the next section of River Road or Mosley, another 25 million, or a water tower, 25 million. That 25 million today, we do not have the reserves to go forward. We would have to apply for grant funding from the province, and if we were successful in getting the major amount of that money, possibly we could go ahead. But if we went ahead without securing grant funding, it would all be on our Wasaga Beach taxpayer, which is totally unacceptable. So I think where the miscommunication in talking to some developers, when they talk about 90% whole, they seem to think that it's 90% of the infrastructure and 90% of the discount on development charges. That is not the case. Those are two separate things, and there is no certainty or security that we would gain funding for a particularly expensive project. And if that didn't happen, heaven forbid, what would happen to our taxes? So again, this is complex. It takes some very serious planning. Had we been given the opportunity, if it was structured different, that we could get funding for a major project and then look at it to add on to that, it would make sense. But right now, the risk to our municipality is far too great. Was that fairly well correct?
Thank you, Your Worship, that was good.
So you get a C+, Councillor. All right. All right, other questions or comments on this matter? Nope. All right, no other, Deputy Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think what's also important to note is when you look at how few builds are going on as well. You know, in 2022, there was 233 that contributed towards 7 million in DCs. And then 2024, there were only 37, right? So we're going to start seeing that go the opposite way. But so we're not even talking about a lot of money. Like even their DCs collected in 2024 were 1.36, right? Like, so what project can we do for 1.36 or even 90% of that? Like, not put in a trail, you know? Like, anyways, that was my point.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Again, Councillor Belanger?
Sorry, I forgot one item, and maybe the CAO or CFO would know this, but my understanding is that this had come before County Council, and they were not really recommending it. And I believe of all the municipalities in South Georgian Bay, there's either none or possibly one that was ready to take this on. I don't know if anyone can clarify.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of those details. It did go to County Council. I believe the mayor may know more than either myself or the CFO about that.
Yeah, any other questions or comments? All right, yes, it did come to County Council on Tuesday. We had a good fulsome discussion about it. What I can tell you is that direction was given to staff to look into what, if any, projects we may have that might be suitable. But again, the county, just like the rest of most municipalities across this province, DCs are already at a depleted state. The only municipalities out there, for the most part, that have a lot of DC reserves are large cities, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars in DC reserves. Large cities have been collecting DCs and putting them into reserves as opposed to using them for infrastructure for years and years. Small town Ontario, probably 444 municipalities. I would wager that 400 of those municipalities have no DCs. As a matter of fact, there's about 100 municipalities that don't even collect DCs because they're so small. So, you know, there's a misunderstanding out there by some, and I have had a conversation with a couple of developers, larger developers, who asked, you know, what are you planning to do? And of course, it hasn't come to council yet, but here it is. But they, you know, I did explain that it's difficult for Wasaga Beach, just like most municipalities, to be able to do this because 19 days to prepare and get something back is difficult. You know, it's easy again for large cities who they have a team of 20 staff perhaps that works on grants, and so they can pull stuff together, and they're always building large amounts of homes, and so they are already having many projects that are shovel ready in the queue to go when grants become available, so on and so forth. That's not the vast majority of municipalities in this province. You know, we have one person who writes our grants, and with the assistance of general managers and so on. So 19 days is tough, but the big misunderstanding out there is people believe that the province is now going to give you up to 90% of any infrastructure project you may present to them. Well, the first thing is there's $8.8 billion in this fund. And the large cities will all be applying, there's no doubt in my mind. Why? They can reduce by 50% because they've already got hundreds of millions sitting in reserves. And, you know, you go to a large city like Vaughan or Toronto, it's probably $150,000 plus per home in DCs. Wasaga Beach, I believe it's now $39,000. So, you know, the large cities are going to chew up because they're going to have the best applications. And when I say the best applications, it's because when the large city goes and says we're going to reduce our DCs by 50%, and that's going to help build 20,000 homes, as opposed to Wasaga Beach sends in an application and says we'll reduce our DCs by 50%, and you know that's going to build this year maybe 60 homes. You can do the math. It's simple math, right? I mean, the large municipalities, the cities are going to chew up this $8.8 billion very quickly. And but the big misunderstanding, I think that is important for the public to understand is, you know, we know that we want to widen River Road West, for example, from 45th Street to the roundabout to 26. And that project today, Kevin, $35 million, $30 million?
Correct, Your Worship, Moseley Street. I don't want to correct you, but Moseley Street. But yes, I think the current estimates exceed 25 million from 45th to Beechwood.
So by the time we get around to it, in this day and age, it's probably, 28 million. That's rounded at $30 million. And that wouldn't be a stretch, I don't think. It doesn't mean that, you know, we apply and because we're going to cut our DCs, they're going to give us maybe up to 90% of $30 million. They're going to say, all right, you cut your DCs, how many homes? Well, if that's, you know, if that's in our best years, if it was 250 homes at $39,000 a home, 50% of that would give us, you know, $4,875,000. They'll give us 90% of that. So that's about $4.4 million out of a $25 to $30 million project. We can't possibly do that. We can't move ahead with that. It's impossible. The water tower, $25 million, it's the same thing. It's only up to 90% of the DCs that you've cut and what you would receive in those 3 years for those DCs, not for any project that you think you need to do in order to get traffic and water and whatnot to these homes. And so that is, again, that isn't the province misleading anybody. It's just, that's the general thought out there. And back to county council, you know, I can tell you 16 municipalities at county council in 2 separated cities. I don't think there was anyone on Tuesday that was standing up and saying, we're moving forward with this because, this is a great deal for our municipality. And I suspect you're going to find that right across the province. I understand and respect and support Premier Ford in them trying to build more homes quicker. I get it. But this really is, in my opinion, geared to the larger cities. Will some small municipalities get $1 million or whatnot here and there? But to Deputy Mayor Snell's point, in our current building today, if we built 100 homes this year, that would result in about $1.7 million to the community at 90%. $1.7 million builds you a couple of parks and maybe a couple of benches if we're lucky today. Not that that's a small thing, don't take me wrong. But again, it's up to 90%. So what if they only give you 50% because it doesn't qualify as well as another town or city? So this is difficult because we want to take advantage of every dollar we can. And you know what? What I'll tell you is that this municipality has done well at that. And, this term has been a good example of that. This one just doesn't work in staff's opinion, as you read through the report, and in many municipalities' opinion. So I'll leave it at that. If there's no other questions or comments, all right, we will move on then to the motion that the report titled Development Charges Reduction Program to the council meeting of June 11, 2026 be received for information. A mover and a seconder for this plea, moved by Deputy Mayor Snell and Councillor White. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Belanger.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo. In favor. Councillor Eagle.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And moving on to the next item, this is County of Simcoe Office of the Warden letter dated May 22nd, 26 with regards to community paramedicine funding and pulled by Councillor Belanger. Councillor Belanger?
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor, I would like to make a motion, and I think in talking to a lot of our residents and being out there all the time is healthcare is one of our top priorities for our residents. And as we saw yesterday, we and census prove it that our average age of resident is a little higher than the provincial average. So the older we get, probably the more we prioritize healthcare. But so my motion is that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach supports the County of Simcoe's advocacy efforts regarding sustainable funding for the community paramedic programs across Ontario, and that Council recognizes the important role community paramedicine programs play in supporting vulnerable and medically complex residents, reducing pressures on hospitals and emergency services, and improving access to health care within local communities. And that Council urges the Province of Ontario to provide permanent, sustainable base funding for community paramedicine programs, including annual inflationary adjustments and funding for capital replacement needs. And Council further requests the province provide funding adjustments to address inflationary cost increases incurred since 2023-2024 financial year, and that a copy of the resolution and a copy of the correspondence received from Warden Basil Clark be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Long-Term Care, local members of provincial parliament, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, and the County of Simcoe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Belanger. Any other questions or comments on this matter? Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick comment. I totally agree with your motion, and thank you for bringing this forward, Councillor Belanger. With the mayor and I, we sit on county council, and we hear firsthand how impactful this program is on Simcoe County residents. And what this is a mobile paramedicine service where they'll come to your house and do regular well visits and checkups and treatments in your home. So it's such a great convenience for folks to not have to travel out, especially if there's mobility issues or access to vehicles. But also, too, more importantly, as you mentioned, Councillor Blanchet, it helps to alleviate the additional burden to our hospitals, so the hospitals can serve the most urgent. Like, this is a really well-crafted program, so I fully support the stabilized funding for sure.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll just comment. This is an absolute excellent program. And, you know, these are the kinds of work that the average individual in the general public doesn't understand that the County of Simcoe does and provides. You know, this is a program, as the Deputy Mayor said, where, you know, paramedics will come to houses on a regular basis and do checks. They'll go to nursing homes, they'll go to group homes, wherever. You know, just see people and, you know, have a conversation with them, and often that leads to, you know, them checking their heart rate and whatever. And what I can tell you is there's two families in this municipality who I have talked to who believe with every ounce of their being that if it hadn't been for this project, one of their loved ones wouldn't be with us today. The loved ones had no idea that they had any serious issues. You know, they were feeling tired or sluggish, but, you know, they were older, and so a paramedic gets in, has a conversation, you know, can I check your blood pressure, can I do this? And the next thing you know, they're off to hospital, and they probably would have died had that not happened. You can't ask for anything better. This is absolutely amazing, and I can tell you that I have personally met with and talked to some of the paramedics that are involved in this program, and their care and compassion for this program and for what it is that they're doing, that is, many would argue, outside the norm for paramedics. They usually respond to, you know, emergency situations. And so, again, this is really thinking outside the box. And, you know, I can't say enough about, you know, our first responders, but our Simcoe County paramedics are second to none as our fires here in Wasaga Beach, and of course our OPP. But, you know, I just want to look to our Deputy Chief. You're aware of this program, Deputy. How do you feel about it?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. It is, I just echo your sentiments. It is an amazing program run by people who absolutely put customer care first. They look, this program takes care of problems. We view it as we do our fire prevention program. It's their medical prevention program where people can get taken care of and they're not tying up hospital resources and paramedic units on the road. It's very, 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 very valuable to the residents of not only Wasaga Beach, obviously, but also the County of Simcoe, and we, the fire department supports that 100%. And, you know, we do occasionally get calls where the community paramedicine team has gone into a home and requires further assistance. And just as you said, you know, they are life-saving. They're life-saving interventions that happen before the hospital. So it's an amazing program, and we've seen countless times where we help residents in that manner. So.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief. Yeah, just, and you know, and often paramedics are now finding and seeing people who have slipped through the cracks, really, in the system. It's just an excellent program. I can't say enough about it. Councillor Ego?
Thank you, and through your mayor. Yeah, just as everyone was speaking, I thought we all speak about everyone wants to stay in their home. So you think of all the buildings that we need building for seniors, but everyone wants to stay in their home. And with this type of service, it certainly assists on that end of the spectrum as well. That's what's needed is to help people stay in their homes. So it's all part of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. If there's no other questions or comments, you've heard the motion from Councillor Belanger. I'm going to say moved by Councillor Belanger, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Blanchet.
In favor?
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith. Carries unanimously.
moving on to the next item pulled, sorry. That's the Township of Clearview dated June 2nd, 2026, re-vacant commercial storefront tax. And this, again, pulled by Councillor Belanger. Councillor?
Yes, thank you through the mayor. Before I read this motion, I also want to acknowledge that when I pulled these two items, I certainly indicated why, but it was the clerk's department that prepared these motions, and I thank them very much for that, because we only give them a couple days' notice from when we're reading our agendas, and they're very busy people, but they always accommodate and do excellent work, so thank you. Related to vacant commercial units tax, this is important, and I can tell you that within our council, there's been individual conversations over years about vacant commercial spots, because you know, when you talk about beautification, when you talk about looking open for business, it's very important that we try to fill these spots with products and services that enhance the lives of our residents. And in some cases, depending on the size of a strip mall or a unit, an owner can actually leave a unit vacant, and the discount in property taxation can be close to or more than what a tenant would pay for that unit. So I'm not saying it happens all the time, but in some cases, owners would not be in a rush to fill a particular unit. And it doesn't bode well on a municipality. So with that said, I am in favor of an enhanced tax to encourage owners to fill those spaces, and I will now read the motion. Whereas vibrant commercial areas and main streets are important to the economic, social, and cultural well-being of communities across Ontario, and whereas the long-term vacant commercial storefronts can negatively impact community appearance, reduce economic activity, and hinder investment in local business districts, and whereas municipalities currently do not have the authority under the Municipal Act to implement a vacant commercial storefront tax or similar tool to encourage the productive use of vacant commercial properties, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach supports the efforts to provide Ontario municipalities with the authority to implement a vacant commercial storefront tax or similar levy on long-term vacant commercial properties, and further, that the province of Ontario be requested to amend the Municipal Act to grant municipalities the permissive authority to establish such a program should they choose to do so, and further, that a letter of support from the Town of Wasaga Beach pertaining to the Township of Clearview's resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MPP Brian Saunderson's office, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, for their consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Questions or comments? Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Councillor Belanger. I want to thank you very much for pulling this item today. This is something that in my former career was very upfront, and we were always thinking about this and lobbying to the government, because sometimes it's very much like the broken window syndrome, where you've got a vacant storefront and it becomes unkept and it continues and brings down the entire block, which is very difficult on commercial neighbors. And it just brings down a vibrant community. So this is a very important concept, I think. And when I was involved with the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association, we were just trying to get rid of the discount for the vacancies. So this brings it to another level, a very helpful level to support not just downtowns, but strip plazas and business communities as a whole. So thank you, Councillor Belanger. I completely support this.
Thank you, Councillor. Other questions or comments on this matter? Seeing none, you've heard the question. It's moved by Councillor Belanger, seconded by Councillor Timms. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Belanger.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo.
Opposed.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor.
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor.
That carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and we're now moving on to item number 14, and that's the council requested staff reports. Council, you've seen the list attached of the staff reports. Any questions or comments on those? All right, moving on to item number 15, notices of motion, we have none. And item number 16, motion where notice has been provided, we have none. And item number 17 is closed session, and recommended motion that pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the next portion of the June 11, 2026 council meeting will move into closed session to consider the following matters. Beachfront lease. Mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That carries unanimously, and we'll go. Let's take a 5-minute personal comfort break, and then we'll come back into closed session. you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and welcome back, everybody. We are in closed session for 15 or 20 minutes, and we've now come back out of closed session into regular session, and we'll look to our clerk for a rise and report. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council entered into closed session at 12 p.m. to discuss the following items: 17.3.1, beachfront lease in accordance with Section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act. As a result of that discussion, staff direction was provided.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and we're now moving on in the agenda to item number 19, which is bylaws, and a recommended motion that the bylaws be received and to be deemed and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, and that's bylaw number 2026-45 and 2026-46. Questions or comments on those bylaws? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor DeLeo. All in favor? Carries unanimously, and this meeting is adjourned at 12:17 p.m.